Hi friends, Tracy.bish here, Stampin' Up demonstrator in Central Victoria, Australia. Welcome to my channel. I am showing you my card for the Organised swap direct to Stampin' Up for Stampin' Up's OnStage in Sydney, which is super fun. It's a demonstrator only event. I will have lots of videos here on my channel with both swaps that I've done, and then when I get back I will be sharing the swaps that I get back. So I'm super excited to be sharing both before and after on stage. But this is the card that we're creating today. I actually made two different sorts, well, same design, two different colours. We've got Strawberry Slush and Old Olive, which is the one we're going to create today. And then we have Soft Seafoam and Fresh Freesia, which is a really beautiful soft colour combo together. But this actually uses quite a few products that are both in the annual catalogue, the mini catalogue, and the online exclusive. So super fun. Let me bring in some of those products that we'll be using. So from the annual catalogue, we have the Gallery Blooms dies. I really wanted to grab a frame die to be able to cut this out. You could use, there's plenty of nesting dies that we have. So if you're going to create this card, we have plenty of nesting dies that you could use, or you could just cut a frame out yourself, which is pretty easy to do as well. In the mini catalogue, I have used the Simply Beautiful bundle. That's this one here. Absolutely gorgeous. Great for all your wedding themed cards, but also really beautiful flowers and all those things. In the online exclusives, I have grabbed the Delicate Whispers stamp set. I'm using the Wishing You Happiness, and I've actually just taken off the And Love. And we're also using this great stamp here, which is one of my favourites in this set. So as a bit of background stamping. And I'm also using the Delicate Designs 12 by 12 paper. We're using this design here, but in this pack there's 6 sheets, 2 each of 3 designs. So let me show you those 3 designs. So we have these 3 designs, which are really cool. It is a copper or a bronze? A bronze, crumb cake and bronze. So I love that. I think that's really great. Inks, I've got stamp pads of Old Olive and Memento. And lastly, we've got some linen thread for a little bit of extra texture in the background. Okay, let's bring in Versamark ink, and I'm using the copper embossing powder as well. Okay, so I have a piece of that DSP already cut, and that measures 3 by 2 inches. I have my card base in basic white thick, which is already, it's half a piece of A4 scored in half. Just going to burnish that score line. So there's 2 pieces there. I've just got a scrap piece of Old Olive and a scrap piece of basic white, and we're going to use those. I don't have correct measurements because it doesn't really matter too much as long as you've got some of those to stamp. And I want to stamp my images that we're going to be colouring in with stamping blends. So stamping blends are Old Olive and Strawberry Slush. So I'm going to stamp those first, and then that way we have a little bit of time to dry as we're doing a little bit of extra die cutting. So I'm going to use this large flower, which is what we're going to be colouring in. And we need 3 of these leaves. It's in that same set. Okay. Now, if you are one of those people that do not clean your stamps for a long time, naughty, naughty. I'm usually not that sort of person, but I did not clean this straight away when I was making all my swap cards. And I actually got busy and forgot about it. Came back a couple of days later and thought, oh, now I haven't cleaned my stamps. That's terrible. It actually stained. The Memento stained this stamp. So let me clean it and I'll show you. Can you see? There is no way of getting any of that out. It is stuck there for life. I don't know. Maybe the more times I clean it, it'll eventually come out. I'm not sure, but would never have been a problem with red rubber, but photopolymer is a little bit different. So I highly recommend, if you are one of those people that don't usually clean your stamps, please do it. It will make your stamps live a lot longer. Okay. There's my little announcement. Okay, so we can come in and we can do a little bit of die cutting while we're waiting. I need that gallery dies for this frame. And we're actually using this frame here, not the larger one. So I think that may fit in that way. Looks like it will, and I'm not going to waste a whole heap of cardstock, which I love. So let's bring in our die cutting machine. Swap my plates over because I'm actually going to have my die facing upwards, just so I can make sure that it's lined up and I'm not missing anything. Looks like it's pretty tight there, so I want to be very careful with that. And run this through. Perfect. So close. Look at how close that is. Not much on either side, so that's worked out really well. I'll need my pokey tool to push this through. So it gives us a nice little frame there. And we do need to die cut our pieces that we just stamped as well. So I'm going to bring this in. I am going to have to just cut this down just a fraction. Normally I would wait, colour them and then die cut them, but we have the tool right in front of us, so we're going to do it this way instead. So this is the Simply Beautiful dies. So there is a large flower, and I also need my outline of the leaves. So we'll quickly run this one through. And this leaves a nice little white border all the way around. Plate on top. And run this one through. And we're just going to run it through 2 more times to get our other 2 leaves. So if this is the first video you've come across, I will actually have quite a few on my channel here with the swaps that I've created for OnStage in Sydney. So if you haven't seen any of those, please check those out. OnStage is a demonstrator only event where Stampin' Up spend 3 days with their demonstrators sharing new products from the new catalogue. Now this would usually be our annual catalogue release, but Stampin' Up are changing the way they're doing it. They're going to bring out 3 catalogues and not have an annual catalogue, so very, very different. But we'll have new products to play with at OnStage and get to talk and mix with demonstrators, create friends, see old friends, which is always amazing. And I look forward to that each year too. Just going to bring in some scrap paper. Now I do need to bring in my frame here, and I'm going to take that stamp that has all the little flowers. It's a great background stamp, and I'm going to stamp my frame with old olive ink. So when I get back from on stage, I'll be sharing the videos, or sharing all the swaps in a video of the ones that I received while I was away. So make sure you come back and check that out as well. I love sharing all the great demonstrators creating wonderful projects. It's so much fun. Really are completely inspiring. So I've just stamped all the way around that frame. Gives it a really nice little bit of detail there. Okay, move that to the side. I think we'll leave these for just a little bit longer. Let's stamp our sentiment, and we're going to heat emboss that sentiment. So let's bring in the card again. We're going to stamp the wishing you happiness in Versamark ink, and I'm going to need my scrap basic white as well. And because this has just been a bit of scrap sitting in my scrap bin, I'm going to bring in my embossing buddy and just make sure I get rid of any fingerprints or static there, so I get a nice clean image when I'm stamping. Now, photopolymer stamps make it really easy to be able to just ink up where you would like to be inked up. Because I only want wishing you happiness, I'm not going to stamp up and love, so I'm just pretty much lining up that sentiment and inking that up, which makes it really easy with the photopolymer. And we're just going to stamp that there. Hopefully we've got a good clean image. I'm going to bring my copper embossing powder. Now these are part of the metallic embossing powders. You get the whole pack. We don't have a bronze, but the copper works really well with it. Few little stray powders there. Okay, and I can bring my heat tool and just melt that powder really quickly. Heat embossing is probably one of my favourite things to do. It gives an amazing quality to your card, makes it really step it up, and it's really fun to watch new stampers actually heat embossing for the first time, because it's amazing. So pretty. And you can get them in white and white, black, and our metallics as well. Alright. We can pop this one to the side. Let's bring in our flower and leaves, and we're going to do some quick colouring with our stamping blend. So I have both light and dark combos of Old Olive and Strawberry Slush. So we might actually do the Strawberry Slush first. I'm going to start with the dark colour. Let's bring in the card so you can see what we're creating. And what I'm going to do is, using my brush tip marker end, is I'm going to lay some colour in that we're going to come in and blend with the light. So it's towards the bottom middle of the petal, and you can sort of bring it out just slightly. The stamping blends do beautiful blending. They're alcohol-based markers, so if you haven't used them before. And then once we've done our centre flowers, I'm going to do each petal going out from the centre, where it'd be the darkest, or where, you know, the shading would be. And, you know, it doesn't take really a lot of time. And you can certainly put a lot more effort in, or you can do nice quick colouring as well. I think that's all the petals. So that was the dark. We're going to bring the light in now. And as you can see in this, I haven't gone all the way to the edges, which gives it that little white end, like a variegated feel, and I really like that. It makes the flower actually pop up off the page rather than being like flat. So this is a great technique. And for the light, you want to blend the colours in, so you're going over the dark, blending the colour, and then moving the colour up. And I'm just going to do up towards the end of each petal. And you don't want them to be uniform, so you sort of need to create little ridges maybe. I am not the colouring queen. I'm usually quick and simple, so there's lots of other demonstrators that are so much better at colouring than me. But I do like to dabble, and I do like to play with the colours, so hopefully you do too. So again, just going over the dark, blending the colour out towards the edges, keeping it not uniformed. And it really makes you see that each petal is very different. Now, I did go through quite a few markers. Actually, this is my first lot, but it's getting a little bit not so good. The markers that I've had for a little while did die pretty quick. But these are fairly decent priced, and you can just repurchase the set again. They don't refill at all. So getting there. Can you see the flower really starting to pop now? So if you're enjoying this video, I would love it if you gave me a thumbs up, left me a comment, and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. I would so appreciate that. Also, if you live in Australia and you would like to purchase any of the products that I've shared with you today, you can purchase them in my online store. There is a link in the description of this video, and I'll try and pop it on the screen as well. Let me write that mark down so I remember where to pop in that section. And yeah, I have customer gifts that I give out each month for everyone who shops with me. So you'll get some great gifts shopping with me. And I love to spoil my customers as well. So if that interests you, take a look in my online store. Stampin' Up really does have something for everyone, so I'm sure you'll find something that you really like. Okay, we're nearing the end. Let me know if you like this variegated look. I actually saw my friend and fellow demonstrator Jackie, Pampered Stamper, do this, and she was part of our global monthly video hop, and she did this. I don't know whether she did it for the global monthly hop or not, but I loved it. It was so clever. And look at that, it so pops up now. This will actually dry. It's actually really dark, but it will dry a little bit lighter. So while that's doing that, let's bring in our leaves, and I'm going to just use my light old olive. And again, this is actually way more simpler than the flower. I just coloured in like this, really, really simple. Not to the edge, again, not uniformed at all. And then come in with the dark and just added a little bit of colour in there, so around the veins. Okay, So we have those all coloured. Let's bring in our card base. And we're going to do a little bit of a flick technique with our stamping blends. Can you see all that flicking of ink? And you can use, if you don't want to use your stamping blends, you can also use, you know, a water painter or something like that, and just use your ink that way. But I find that this works really well as well. I'm going to go the dark. I'm going to use my felt tip end, and all I'm going to do is just flick like so. And if you're really gentle with them, it doesn't do too much damage. So that gives us a nice little bit of a fleck on the card base. Okay, so we can start popping this together now. Let's bring in our frame and our DSP piece, and I'm going to add just a little bit of tear and tape to the frame to adhere that DSP. There is not a lot of room there. I wanted to keep these DSP pieces as small as possible so I could, you know, not waste that beautiful DSP. You only get 2 sheets of each. So, and I wasn't sure how many I had to make. And then we're going to adhere this to the side, like so. And I'm going to adhere that to the card base. And I'm just going to use some liquid glue for that. I'm going to move that to the left hand side there. I want to still be able to see a little bit of that flicker. Okay, if we bring our flower back in, I'm going to use mini glue dots to adhere down our leaves. So let's add a glue dot down to each one. I'm going to do 2 to the top here. And this second one I'm actually going to place on the top, so it's sort of sitting on the top, like so. And then 1 down. Oop. I just ripped the glue dot completely off my die cut there. Add that to the side, which looks great, but I really liked the look of the linen thread and didn't want to waste a whole heap. So what I did is I did a little trick. So let's bring in my marvelous tear and tape. I'm just going to do 2 strips. I'm going to add a strip here to the back and then a strip here to the back. So 1 just here, 1 just here. Look at those inks, go straight through the page. And then I've taken the backing off, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of linen thread to that tape. I'm going to create a nice little loop, like so, and then I can just chop that off and do the other side as well. So if you don't mind using a whole heap of linen thread, you could make a big bow-like effect. But this is a great way of saving some of your craft supplies and making it a little bit more economical. And in this market, I think it's needed because I can't give up my craft, but you've got to be watching your dollars as well. There we have it. I can take the end off this one as well. And look how cute that is. Okay, let's add some dimensionals down to that one. This is going to be popped up onto our card. And one thing I did want to say is these loops, I tend to just stick a dimensional over the top of those to make sure that the linen thread pieces don't fall off your card. Now, I tend to go overboard with my dimensionals, please yourself, but there's going to be no sagging on my card. Let's take all the backings off. That's all of them. Yep. Let's bring our card back in. We're just going to lay that over the top. You can see there's a little bit left over. It's going to be covered, so great way of saving a little bit of that DSP that way as well. So you can see the little flecks. Perfect. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is bring in our sentiment piece. I'm going to use my trimmer just to trim this down a fraction. So you can see there is no embellishments on here whatsoever. You could certainly add embellishments. I honestly think with all the stamping and the heat embossing and I didn't really cut that all that well. It's a little uneven. This is way thinner than my other ones as well. That's okay. So nice. Just trim this down just a fraction. And we're going to pop this down onto the card. So on the left hand side, I'm actually going to be using some dimensionals. Because this side's not popped up, but this is. So if I pop some dimensionals down, like so, and then on this side, because the flower's already popped up, I'm going to take my liquid glue and just add a little bit of liquid glue to that side. Take the backings off. And we can add this down to the card. Beautiful. Okay, let's bring in the other one so you can see both designs. I love how these turned out, and I really hope that the people I have swapped with really enjoy their cards as well. I like that I've used, you know, a little bit of annual catalogue, a little bit of mini catalogue, a little bit of online exclusives. You know, the good thing is you can mix and match. That's something that I do struggle with a lot of the time, is mixing and matching my stamp sets and items with other items. So I like that I've been able to do that here. Let me know, which one is your favourite? The fresh freesia and the soft sea foam, or the old olive and strawberry slush? I think they're both beautiful. This one's nice and sweet. This one has a little bit more bold look to it, but let me know. Don't forget, I'll have lots of other videos for my swaps here on my channel, so go and check those out. Subscribe if you haven't done so already so you don't miss my next video. If you have enjoyed this video, I would so appreciate a thumbs up and a comment. If you could leave me a comment, that would be fantastic. And yeah, if you're in need of any of the supplies that I've used today, you can certainly purchase them in my online store. And I have some gifts that I give out to my customers every month that changes. So there's a card kit, for paper pumpkin card kit for anyone who spends $50 before shipping, and anyone who orders through me each month will also receive the Simple Sweet Stampers tutorial for the month. But if you spend the $50, get the card kit, you'll also get the bundle tutorial as well. All right, everyone, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.